Did you take his life? Absolutely not. But you want to hear the truly ironic part. What is it? The very round that ended his life came from a weapon that forensics traced directly back to you. What are you saying? What happened to Gary? Who did this to him? You're looking at 29-year-old Tasha Bentley right now, a registered nurse from Kentucky, and in this very room she's putting on the performance of a grieving wife. Merely hours before this, her husband Gary was discovered lifeless in their bed, executed with a single shot to the back of the head. Yet something about Tasha's story doesn't add up. Upon returning home that night, she noticed the garage door was ajar, a highly unusual sight, yet she never went inside to see if Gary was all right. She phoned his father and asked him to check instead. The reason you were too scared to enter that house is because you already knew what was waiting inside, didn't you? You were fully aware your husband had been killed in there, and that's precisely why you refused to go in. Investigators, however, are holding their cards close to the chest. They're aware of a $1.625 million life insurance policy issued only 12 days before Gary died. They've uncovered her secret relationship with a coworker named Anthony, and they've learned of her intentions to abandon Gary and start a new life with Anthony on January 14th, a date just 5 weeks away. But Tasha is completely oblivious to one critical fact. Her best friend Amy has already confessed everything to the authorities, including the affair. She revealed the plans to move out and even Tasha's discussions about wanting more children with Anthony. Now observe as two veteran detectives tear her story apart one lie at a time. Notice the fear in her eyes the moment they bring up the life insurance policy. See how she squirms when Anthony's name is finally mentioned. And stay for the instant she understands that all her exits are sealed. You're about to witness the questioning of a woman who believes she had committed the perfect crime right up until her guilt. Or perhaps the mountain of evidence became too much to bear. What truly transpired on that Sunday morning? Was this a case of self-defense against abuse, as she alleged, or was something far more wicked at play? Let's uncover the truth. Could you show me that on your phone again? That text information, if you still have it? No, I never showed you a thing. Really, I was under the impression you had shown me your phone. You have to remember, my son had my phone all last night. I guess I must have missed that particular one. That's all right, he was just on it playing games. So what are you looking for? Just the text messages or the phone calls too? Let's start from when you left the house. You said that was around 8:30 in the morning, is that right? All right, so we're looking for anything right after 8:30 when you first tried to text or call him. So that would be this past Sunday, December 10th. It appears at 8:52 in the morning you sent, "Love you, baby, hope you get some good rest sleeping in." Followed by, "We are getting breakfast Christmas shopping and going to see Amy Good Luck Hunting Baby. See you later tonight." And next at 11:48, you send the message, "In the woods hunting boo," like you're calling out to him. That was supposed to be a question, without the punctuation because I hadn't heard back from him at all. I was thinking, so are you out in the woods hunting? Just asking, like, what are you doing? Okay, and then another one reads, "Hey boo, haven't heard from you." You get a big one. And that message was sent at 3:48. So that's the last of the texts you sent him then. Okay, so I'm sending texts all Sunday. Yeah, because I was just racking my brain trying to figure out why he hadn't replied. I'm thinking to myself, hey, did you get a big one? Are you just so thrilled with your catch that you're not answering me? Or did you go hunting and leave your phone behind? Is your phone still sitting in the house? This one was from December 9th. So that was actually my first call. Is that the one saved as Home Sweet Home? That's our house landline. And Gerald Bears, there is my father-in-law. If you tap on where it says the name, it will show the number. Okay, what I'm focused on here. Let's discuss the phone calls around 3 o'clock. At 3:18 p.m., there's an outgoing call. What was that call about? I called him to ask if he had heard from Gary or spoken to him at all, okay? And he told me no. All right then, at 4:33, I phoned him again to let him know I was leaving. Amy's grabbing some dinner and maybe doing a bit of shopping. Honestly, at that moment, I wasn't sure if I should still do any shopping or just head home. And he also mentioned that his brother Mikey was supposed to be coming over to his place. So I said, well, maybe when he arrives, if you still haven't heard from Gary, and I haven't heard from Gary, you two could just go check since you're right there. Okay, moving on then at 6:42. Oh, this one is a text message. I guess you made it home. That was a text from him asking if you'd arrived yet. And then at 6:42, there's a call for under 2 minutes. Yes, I phoned him to let him know I was on my way home. Since he texted asking if I'd arrived, I just decided to call him back instead of texting while driving. I got a chill at 7:15 right after I'd come home and left again, so I called and told him something felt deeply wrong at our house. I couldn't tell if someone had been inside or not, but I just knew I was too afraid to go in there alone. I understand that deep-seated gut feeling you were talking about, that unease that keeps you from sleeping well. What do you suppose triggered that specific feeling? And hasn't the garage door been left open in the past? No, not usually, although it has happened on rare occasions, even when Gary was there all day while you were at your job. I have never left the house in that state, but I know I've left the house before. Sometimes I'll get to my office and have to phone my wife just to ask, did I remember to shut the garage door because I was in such a rush. I can't tell you the number of times that's happened, and he would always give me a lecture about it. You've got so many valuables in the garage. He'd say, so I always sit and watch that door go all the way down. So whenever I'd pull into the garage, I'd move forward back up a bit and just pause there for a second. Then I'd hit the button and watch it close completely before I ever pulled away, just because he was so adamant about it. I mean, all his expensive tools were in there, the lawnmower, the generator, and the power washer. Everything for the lawn was in there, but he always wanted that door shut, which might sound a little crazy. Even if I just moved my car out for a moment to get the mower, knowing we were about to put it right back. He'd still insist on putting the garage door down, saying he didn't want grass blowing inside the garage. So what about you then? Because it was clearly odd to you that the garage was open, and he wasn't anywhere to be seen. He's usually outdoors, so where exactly was this tree stand he used for deer hunting located? It's positioned at the very back of the property near the fence line, and you mentioned he planned to hunt from 10 to 2 because he said the best hunting hours were 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So he'd sleep in, go out around 10:30 for a bit, come back then, go out again at 2 until dark. Yet there have been countless times I've returned home while he was still up there, and the garage door was always down. The rule was that if the garage door was ever up, he and the dogs were right there outside with it. So if the door was open, maybe he went to check his stand, which makes me wonder why you didn't go search for him. I glanced inside his car and nothing at all seemed out of the ordinary in there. I truly do not know. I mean, I did scan the area, I glanced around, but I didn't actually walk around the property itself. I did start walking toward the garage and probably took a step or maybe 2 in that direction. Did you ever try the sliding glass door on the side or the other entrance on the opposite side of the home? We almost never ever use the actual front door of the house. Just as a point of curiosity, if he had become ill, how would you have known to check on him? Like, what if he fell? I mean, as his spouse, wouldn't your immediate instinct be to check on him if you thought he might be hurt? And that is exactly why I'm so fascinated by the fact that you chose not to. I simply cannot describe the feeling I had after looking in his truck and seeing nothing was out of place. Everything appeared perfectly normal, and I only took a couple steps toward the garage, maybe 1 or 2 steps inside. I can still remember looking at the door, seeing it was shut, and my first real thought came after I'd been out of my car for a moment. So tell me, was Gary a heavy drinker? On Saturday night, I know for a fact that he consumed 1 glass of bourbon. He typically mixed that with something else, I think, but I can't recall if he had a beard. And what about his guns? Besides the safe. Where did he store his guns? Because I know they were all secure, and it seems you weren't bothered by his drinking, or by him smoking marijuana while possessing firearms in your house. None of that seems to have caused any issue with you, and yet I'm still stumped that an open garage door was the one thing that gave you pause. So why did you fail to go and check on him and just make sure that he was okay? Consider what might have happened if he had a heart attack or something similar, and in that critical moment, you were the one who didn't go inside. At least that's what I am gathering from this. So tell me, were you two having marital problems? No problems at all, at least nothing more than any other average married couple deals with. But I can't explain why it just felt deeply wrong with that garage door up and the other door open, so I called Gerald and he agreed something wasn't right. Okay, so how would you characterize Gary? Was he an easygoing person who befriended everyone, or did he have a temper that angered people? So what was he actually like as a person? The easygoing type? Yeah, definitely. What do you mean by that? Oh, I can definitely see the easygoing side. I really can, but you're saying it was a mix. Yeah, because he had this intensely sarcastic streak. If you were a stranger, it was nearly impossible to figure out if he was joking or being serious. Most people who didn't know him just thought he was a real jerk, but then once you really got to know him, you'd realize, oh, you're actually a great guy. You're nothing like I initially thought. You're just a sarcastic prankster, you know. Did that personality ever cause any real problems, any arguments or friction with people? Never did it ever escalate to the point where someone was physically hurt. Not at all, except for Gary's death, of course. And because of that, we're looking into absolutely everything. And in the course of our investigation, we discovered there was a life insurance policy on him. Up to this moment in the interrogation, Tasha has conducted herself as if the police are just on a fishing expedition, believing they have nothing to go on but her version of the story. The detective's nonchalant reference to the life insurance policy, however, completely shatters that dynamic. This single comment raises the stakes immensely, and you can see Tasha's entire composure falter as she realizes the investigators know far more than she imagined. This life insurance policy was taken out a mere 12 days prior to Gary's death. What Tasha doesn't yet comprehend is that the investigators are in possession of recorded phone calls with the insurance company that document the precise details of how and when she arranged for the policy. Now listen to the recorded conversation between Tasha and the representative from the insurance company. Then pay close attention to how the detectives broach the subject of life insurance and how the entire tone of their questioning begins to pivot. Our son is almost 5 years old. We have waited far too long. We're certainly not getting any younger, and I'm surrounded by death and accidents every single day, right? We have to look out for our family. I was actually curious what a $2 million policy would look like. Okay, so your husband, based on his $65,000 income, is eligible for as much as $1.625 million. He could get $1,625,000. Wow, why would it be so much? What assets did he possess that would necessitate that much coverage for you? He made the call and started the whole process. Well, I suppose he was just trying to make sure you were taken care of, wasn't he? I guess that's why I always just let him do his own thing, because he was a very hard worker. And forgive me for hammering this point, but we keep circling back to the same issue. If he was such a good provider, why didn't you go in the car? Yeah, to go check on him, to offer help and see if he was hurt or trapped inside the vehicle. Honestly, I just didn't think Gary was even in there. No, that isn't right. That's precisely what I was trying to recall all of last night. What was it that stopped me? Why didn't I go in? You said it was just a feeling that something was wrong. So that's your reason for not going in to help him. That's the part that makes absolutely no sense to me. Can you describe your current position at Signature for me? I currently have a permanent job at Summerfield, but before that I was in a FlexPath program. It involved me traveling to all the different counties, which is why my mom, in the FlexPath role, you're essentially rotated between any open management positions they have at their various facilities. I accepted a permanent position at Summerfield this past March. That's my permanent job. That sounds like what you mentioned before, a typical 8 to 5 schedule or thereabouts. It is a salaried job. I see. And how are you compensated for overtime hours? So how is your time handled if you do work beyond your shift? Do you get paid for it in any way? It's included in the salary. How often did you end up staying late? I did my best to leave by 4:30. Perhaps 1 or 2 evenings a week I wasn't able to get out until recently when they had to cut one of my team members. Did you make many friends during your time at Signature? Yes, I know a lot of people who work there. Anyone you were particularly close with? Does the name Anoni ring a bell for you? How do you know Anthony were friends outside of work and we were also friends at work? Tell me what friends outside of work means. We hang out. The moment detectives bring up Anoni's name, you can see a profound shift in Tasha's demeanor, and she almost seems to accept defeat. A web of lies began to unravel the moment she spoke, carefully framing him as just a friend from her job and occasionally someone she'd see socially. She had no idea the police already held the truth about their connection. Anthony and Tasha were having a secret affair. In fact, evidence collected by detectives revealed Tasha intended to leave Gary for Anthony and had already picked a specific day to do it. Tasha looked genuinely bewildered about how the authorities even knew of Anthony's existence. The answer, however, came from a source much closer to her. The tip came from Tasha's own best friend, Amy Hagler. Hi, this is Andrew. What is it you need to tell me regarding this situation? I know that Kasha, who is Gary's wife, is cheating on him. She was going to leave him on January 14th. Okay. And who was she having this affair with? His name is Anthony. Did she ever discuss her relationship with Anthony beyond you just knowing they were involved in an affair? What about any talk of getting married, or was it just them casually spending time together? There was a whole lot of conversation that day. Actually, I asked her, because she's always wanted more children, so I brought it up on Sunday. I asked, have you and Anthony discussed having kids? Do you want to have any more? And she replied, well, we probably aren't going to. But Anthony told her that if it was something she really desired, he would do that for her. I am certain that she planned for him to move in with her as soon as she secured an apartment. I believe he's currently residing with his mother or his sister, or maybe shuttling between both of them. Did you two ever just get together after your shifts, maybe go for a drink of coffee or something similar? Sure, grabbing coffee after work or something else. Was there any kind of socializing after you clocked out? I could see you hesitate. That's the reason I'm asking. I have a feeling he wanted to admit something more. Would you perhaps like to get lunch? What else? After our shifts, during our shifts, we go out for lunch during the workday. What would a typical lunchtime outing for you two look like? Where would you decide to go? What would you end up doing? We would grab some food, then find a spot in the park to sit, eat our lunch, and then head back to the office. Were there any romantic meetings? Let's see, I seriously doubt it was just your romance. You have been intimate more than once. You must realize we would know about this. Why do you suppose you'd become intimate with him? Was something absent from your life at home? What exactly was missing from your home? Why do you feel he was so uncaring toward you? God, don't be about my wife. He criticized what I wore on our vacation. He actually threatened me with divorce during our trip. I told him he was pushing me away from him. But I swear I still wanted to be with him, and I truly wanted us to make an effort to resolve our issues. But I made it clear we had to at least make it through Christmas. So how long had this romance with Anthony been happening? What month is it? November. So how many times were you intimate? 4 times. What was scheduled to occur on January 14th, my birthday. No, something entirely different was set for January 14th between yourself and Anthony. We had discussed me moving out and moving into a room with him. I never imagined Gary would have accepted that, or that Gary would ever find out. I mean, just a little bit. I warned him that if someone else gave me attention, I would gladly take it. So if I construct a scenario for you, you walk out of the house at 8:30 in the morning on Sunday. You are fully aware that Gary is going to go hunting at 10 o'clock. You realize I know the real story. Everything that we have covered, I am aware of all these details. Yeah, we have discussed it, but you failed to mention Anthony to me. You didn't disclose your affair with Anthony. Anthony is employed as I believe he's a custodian at the same facility where you work. You never asked me anything to death. But you didn't come forward with that information either. Was I supposed to? I am attempting to discover who murdered your husband. Okay. Right at this moment, if you were sitting in my shoes, what would your conclusion be? You possess the means. You possess the motive. You possess the opportunity. You arranged everything. You were gone from the house by 8:30. 30. Would you typically be sleeping in at 8:30, past 8:30? On Sundays, we would sleep in late and Saturday. On Sundays, you usually sleep until around 10 o'clock. Normally every single weekend, but not this past weekend. You didn't. This weekend by 8:30, you were already out of the house. You must be completely honest with me because I know a great deal. I went over to Amy's place. We know exactly where you went first to Amy's house, then you grabbed McDonald's on Bow Road. A $35.12 order, correct. They just reviewed the tapes, so who do you think our primary suspect is? Me? Let me get this straight. You didn't enter the house because you sensed something was horribly wrong. Exactly. I had a gut feeling that someone had broken into our house. How could you possibly know something like that? I don't know that for a fact, but you still refused to go inside and help your husband? I had no idea he was even in there because you wouldn't go look. No, sir. You're the one who said you didn't go check, correct? And right now, all my instincts tell me that you helped plan this entire thing. Oh, you absolutely did. And do you want to know how I can tell? You haven't shed a single tear this whole time I've been crying, non-stop all day. Can't you just look in my eyes and see that I have cried? All day you can just ask my family, not about the things that I know. What are you trying to say? That you've cried? I'm not going to sit here and deny that you haven't cried. But then you bring up the $1 million life insurance policy. You mentioned the substance abuse that's been happening in your own home. We've discussed the neglect and the total lack of affection in your marriage. You even talked about seeking comfort in another man's arms. You admit to having an intimate relationship. You even talk about moving in with this person on January 14th. You are already leaving your husband, so what better way to do it? You get it all if you set him up, have him killed, and collect the insurance money. You orchestrated this whole thing. Do you want me to put you on a polygraph to prove it? Yes. This is murder I'm talking about. I'm saying that you hired a professional. That's the real reason you were too scared to go in the house. You knew what was waiting for you. You knew your husband was lying murdered inside that house. That's the only reason you refused to go in. You had the entire thing arranged. No, sir, I'll submit to any additional test. That explains everything. That's why you left the house at 8:30 that morning and didn't bother to send a text until much later. In the last 48 to 24 hours, I have uncovered far too many details that don't make sense. The story you're telling just doesn't add up for me, and right now all the evidence points directly at you. You arranged it, and that's why you didn't go in. All I'm asking from you is to be completely honest with me because you have not been totally forthcoming so far. I've had to drag every piece of information out of you one bit at a time, and here's where things get incredibly serious. If you decide not to be straight with me, that is fine. That will be your choice to make. But as I piece this entire puzzle together, I want you to know I have all the time in the world because there is no statute of limitations on this. I understand. And if you don't confess to what you've done, and I'm forced to go through this whole process, I guarantee you that I will make this stick as hard as I can. As hard as I possibly can, I did not hire someone to take my husband's life. I never once asked anyone to murder my husband. Did you do it yourself? No, you know what we discovered, what? The bullet that killed him is a perfect ballistic match to your gun. I did not kill him. Then why was it a bullet from your weapon that ended his life? I do not know. In spite of the overwhelming evidence against her, Tasha persistently maintains her claim of innocence. After nearly 3 hours of grueling questioning, Detective Samuel clearly saw that he had reached a complete standstill. Tasha had cemented her story and showed no indication of deviating from it under his current methods. This is the moment investigators chose to make a strategic pivot in their tactics. Detective Samuel excused himself and Lieutenant Johnson, the investigative supervisor, took his place. This is a well-known technique in challenging interrogations involving a fresh interrogator to approach the suspect from a different perspective. While the first detective focused on presenting the evidence and confronting Tasha directly, the supervisor was preparing to employ a different method entirely. Lieutenant Johnson would not only speak with more authority, but also with a greater degree of empathy and understanding. This compassionate style often allows suspects to feel safer speaking candidly, as if a great weight is finally being lifted off their shoulders. By cultivating an atmosphere where confession is presented as a path to relief, instead of simple punishment, investigators can often dismantle psychological defenses that direct confrontation could never overcome. I have been in this line of work for many, many years. I've dedicated 13 years to investigations. That is why I am the supervisor, because I have handled all of these cases. I've worked out of the Elizabethtown Post. I've covered LaRue County, Nelson County, Breen Ridge County, all of those places down there. And then I moved to Grayson County and worked all the cases up here. Let's be clear, I have dealt with countless prosecutors and I've sat across from just as many defense attorneys. I have managed cases involving every kind of person from every walk of life where guns discharge as people wrestle for them. People fighting over them in a heated domestic dispute or some other crisis where you attempt to disarm someone and the weapon fires by accident. Any scenario like that which happens, I have to be made aware of it because once we establish the facts on our own, what happens next? You become totally useless to our investigation. There is absolutely nothing to be gained by telling us your side of the story then. If you're aware that someone, maybe your boyfriend or an admirer, had feelings for you, or perhaps if you were active on a dating service, or if he was using a dating app and a third party discovered your address and became so obsessed with you that they were driven to go to his home and assault him, leading to his death, and you concealed it, you're as guilty as the person who fired the gun. I understand. Well, this is first-degree murder because a felony was committed which resulted in a death, a first-degree burglary involving stolen weapons. The moment those were removed from the property, a firearm is automatically involved in the crime we have. That is the reality you need to grasp right now because your focus should be on safeguarding your son, on being a mother for your son. You can still achieve that at this very moment if you'll just walk us through what transpired that day. But if you lie about it, that guilt is going to eat you alive forever, and it will destroy him forever when he learns the real story behind what took his father. I've handled these exact kinds of cases before, which is why I told you I've sat with people in this room. I might seem calm just sitting here speaking with you, and that's because I recognize that things in life can go wrong. Events don't always unfold the way we imagine. You might have had zero intention of going there to inflict any injury or to harm him. And then maybe he became enraged with you, and a fight broke out, and you had that firearm in your bag. And the pistol just went off. It was a total accident, and you panicked, so you rang his father or called for someone else's help. Maybe your boyfriend or someone else, and you staged the scene to appear like it does now. But I know in my soul looking at it, and you do too, that that's not what really happened. There was no stranger who forced their way into that house. You or someone you know is the one who entered that house and shot him in the back of the head. And then to stage it like a home invasion, the firearms were taken from the safe and transported somewhere else. The one good thing is that we can recover those firearms and you might still get to be a mother to your child. But beyond today, that's not a promise I can make. Because if you continue to lie to me like a stone-cold killer, I will have absolutely no empathy for you. But if you confess that a terrible mistake occurred, that you told someone an altered story, you fabricated a lie and claimed that Gary was abusing you, and someone went there to defend your honor and murdered Gary because they were trying to shield you or because they were desperate to be with you, this is the moment you must tell me that truth. You have to tell me what they did because you know precisely what went down, and it is tearing you apart to sit there and lie to me instead of telling me the truth. You will feel an incredible sense of relief when you finally tell me what actually happened, and you know it. And there is no way around this reality. The truth is what will set you free. The truth is the only thing you have left to tell me what happened to Gary that day. You can keep trying to reject it, but the nightmares will just keep coming. Everything will just continue. Your life will be a living hell until you tell me the honest story of what happened. So tell me what happened that night. What on earth did you do to Barry? Who did it? Who went over there? Please, just tell me. Who went to that house? No, he did not shoot himself. I know for a fact he didn't. So if you won't do it for me, do it for your son. That's why I did it. So why did you do it? You realized your story had far too many inconsistencies, didn't you? It made no logical sense, did it? I tried, you tried, but who helped you? What did you do with all of the guns? Were they in the Louisville storage unit? I planned to take them there, but I didn't. Did you see this right here? Look up at me. You don't actually think I come in here to talk to you without already knowing things. I've got the email right here to show you. That was my plan. That was your plan. So where are they? Where are the firearms located? Were they left in your car? Are they inside a storage building somewhere? Did you hand them over to Patrick? Did you ask your boyfriend to keep them for you? Where are they located? Because I have to go and get them. Did anyone assist you in moving these guns? Who helped you move them? Was it Anthony? Did he come to the residence and take them? What was that? Now I'm the one who brought him over there. You're saying you brought the man to him. Could you just ask him to keep the guy there for you? Let's go over Sunday again. Tell me what went down. Was the guy inside the vehicle, or how did it happen? The one responsible was Gary, wasn't it? What in the world did Gary do to me? I got out of bed at 6 in the morning and he was already awake. So where's the firearm you used to shoot Gary? Was it with the other weapon? Was it that small .38 caliber pistol? That's the one that was supposed to be in the lockbox, but it wasn't in there. So where on your person was it? And where did he strike him exactly? Where did he make contact? He just clocked him right on the back of his head. He hit him upside the head from behind, sort of right in this area. He just sort of swung like this, you see. Where did the blow land? What room were they in? It happened in the bedroom when he struck him. Yes, that's right. And I came in right when he was in an unbelievable twist. Tasha finally crumbles and admits she was the one who killed Gary. Sir, I'm not a bad guy. I swear on everything holy. I really mean it. I've tried to live my life the right way, you understand. I just got tangled up in this whole mess, man. Never in a million years would I do something like this because I was only trying to give her a hand. She told me she was terrified for her own life, and I told her, Tasha, I can't bring this stuff to my sister's place. Do you get what I'm saying? Why would she claim to be in fear for her life? Because they were fighting, I suppose, and everything that goes with it. I promise you know what I mean. She told me he would punch holes right through the walls and just start throwing things around. That is precisely what she told me, and she said she was scared he was about to hurt her. I swear, that's the honest-to-God truth. She specifically said he was putting his fists through the walls. Well, she said he had done that before. Yes, things like that in the past. But I can't be certain if she was referring to that specific day. I just know she mentioned that he gets really furious. You know what I mean? I'm telling you the absolute truth now that you're aware of how I got mixed up in this entire situation. Yes, sir. So how do you feel knowing that with all those pistols placed in the back of the car, your prints are now all over them? Absolutely not, sir. That is precisely what I was trying to explain. That's the reason I was telling my mother and everyone else. I told them heaven knows I'd never pull firearms from someone's vehicle with my own hands and carry them into a house if I suspected something was amiss. I swear to you my only intention was to help her out. I swear on my life I never would. So as I was saying, I watch crime shows. I would never have done anything remotely like that in my entire life. I absolutely wouldn't. I promise I was only trying to assist her. And I swear I said to her, look, Tasha, you need to be here tomorrow to pick up these weapons. I continued, because there's just no way I can keep these firearms at my sister's home. I swear on my soul, I had no idea anything was wrong at all. All I wanted was to give her some help. And I thought to myself, I said, if I decided not to help her and something terrible happened to her, I would feel awful about it. You understand what I'm saying for failing to lend a hand, right? I swear the first thing I asked was, what in the world happened, Tasha? Just like that, and her response was, so what's the word at your job? I replied, the news is that an intruder broke into your home and murdered your husband. She just said yes, so I asked, well, are you all right? And she answered, yes, I'm fine. After that whole conversation was over, I moved on and told her, I swear I'm so sorry about what happened to your husband, and I'm relieved that you and your son are safe. Then I said, but you have to listen, because at that moment I truly had no clue what the heck was actually happening. My head was completely spinning from the entire situation since I was the one storing guns at my sister's place. I told her, you absolutely must come over here and retrieve these weapons from this house. You need to get over here right now. Do you understand me? When are you going to get yourself down here? I asked her just like that. The honest-to-God truth is, I swear on my children and on my life, I never would have been involved with this if I knew what she had done. My only motivation was to help her. I swear it. I swear on everything, and this is why you should believe what I'm saying. There is no way I would have laid a finger on those guns if she had confessed to me that she did something wrong. I would have told her to get the hell away from me with all of that, and I probably would have contacted you guys if she'd admitted she killed someone. I would have never taken any weapons from somebody's car with my own bare hands, I swear to you on my life, and then carried those guns to the back. Look, Sam, I'm not going to mislead you, sir. I'm 47 years old, and I would never. And I never in my entire life would have removed firearms from a car with my bare hands knowing someone had been hurt or was going to get hurt, I never would have done that in a million years. It was the most idiotic and foolish thing to do. It's just like my father said, I understand you were only trying to help that young woman, a model at the actual. He warned me that when it comes to weapons, you can never be sure of their origin or what they've been used for, I just told him, Dad, look, and he replied, son, this sort of thing could have happened to absolutely anyone. But you have to realize you can't get involved in situations like that. I truly never intended for anyone to get hurt. Nobody was harmed. My goal was never to harm a single soul by doing this, yet I wounded myself, my family, and I never intended to get into this mess. I truly cared for Tasha, man, and I didn't want to see her harmed. I was devastated when she got hurt. I swear I loved her. You see, my feelings for her were incredibly strong, you understand. Okay, there is one additional detail that might be brought up. Yes, sir? It's purely because she implicated you with the car. Yes, sir. You are not going to be charged with anything. Okay. Yes, sir. Just confirming the facts. Yes, sir. But you may be required to make an important statement about her actions. Yes, sir. Do you mean about her bringing the weapons to me and all that? Precisely. Yes, sir. Are you going to be all right with that? I have to do what needs to be done. Tasha Bentley was formally charged with murder in the first degree and the tampering of physical evidence. In December of 2018, she took a plea agreement pleading guilty to both of the charges. She received a sentence of 40 years for the murder, plus 5 more years for tampering, which is a total of 45 years in prison. According to Kentucky law, she has to serve a minimum of 20 years before she can be considered for parole. As for her abuse allegations, investigators found no evidence to back them up. There were no witnesses, no medical files, and no history of abusive behavior from Gary. Medical exams of their son and conversations with family, friends, and daycare workers revealed nothing. Then there was Anthony, the coworker with whom she was cheating. The police were convinced he was being honest. He had absolutely no idea about the murder and was certain he was just helping Tasha by keeping the guns because she claimed to fear for her own safety. Gary Bentley's family lost a beloved son, father, and friend. It all happened because Tasha desired a new beginning and lacked the patience for a divorce. If you're drawn to cases just like this, where meticulous interrogation methods bring the truth to light, then you've come to the perfect place. We analyze the psychology, examine the evidence, and pinpoint the moments the entire story collapses. Subscribe right now so you won't miss our next interrogation analysis. Press that subscribe button, and we'll catch you in the next one. We often speak of starting over as a hallmark of hope, but when a new beginning is built upon the cold foundation of betrayal, it inevitably crumbles into a lifetime of regret. The case of Tasha Bentley is not just a police file. It is a hollow echo of a soul that lost its way in the pursuit of greed and fleeting desire. Imagine a home, a sanctuary where a husband sleeps, trusting the person beside him. In that darkness, Tasha didn't see a partner or the father of her child. She saw a $1.6 million payout and an obstacle to her secret affair. She chose a single fatal gunshot over the honesty of a divorce, proving that the shortest path to freedom is often the longest road to ruin. The lesson: you cannot outrun the truth. No matter how meticulously you stage a home invasion or how many alibi texts you send, the blood on your hands never truly washes away. Integrity is not just about doing the right thing when life is easy. It's about choosing a difficult honesty over a murderous shortcut. Behind every perfect crime is a shattered family, a child left fatherless, and a conscience that will scream in the silence of a prison cell for 45 years. Cherish the life you have or leave it with honor, but never sacrifice your humanity for a price tag.